What's up, bud? Today we are tackling a poor man's valve job. We're doing it on this 1970s Tecumseh HS40 that I've been working on. I got a couple other videos on it. I was diagnosing a no spark issue with it. Once we got the spark figured out, it had no compression. Turns out it had a broken exhaust valve. That's where we left the last video. I'll leave links to those if you want to see them. I was able to find a new old stock exhaust valve over on the sleaze bay. The intake valve was no problem. What we're going to do today is we're going to resurface the seat a little bit. We're going to lap the valves, and then we're going to adjust the valve lash on this. This is a flat tappet lifter style motor. Most of these Tecumsehs, this is off a little snowblower, little snarl blower digital leader there. You're going to need a couple things. Get yourself some WD-40, little spritz of the good stuff. Sneak into your neighbor's garage and see if you can't get, I don't know, about 220 sandpaper, nothing too gnarly. Some lapping compound, valve grinding compound, and one of these sure does makes it easy. Amateur hour. Sure does make it easy, but you can get away without it. We'll get into that a little bit later. The first thing you're going to have to do is clean up your valves if you're reusing old valves. Now this, you may remember from the other video if you saw it, this intake valve was all full of carbon. I took her over to the wire wheel, and again, nothing too aggressive, but we cleaned it up, and then obviously our new old stock, go back in there, our new old stock valve is brand new. I love new old stock parts, man. The history of them is awesome. They come in cool packaging, so clearly Tecumseh, you can see it's been sitting on a shelf, so it's even got a bit of rust on it, no big deal. Tecumseh hasn't made this part in a while, so thank goodness for them folks over on the sleaze bay who were hoarding these parts back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, so we can have them today. So this guy's going to go right down in there. We got our intake valve. Just going to slip right down in there. And the first thing you're going to want to make sure of is that you have any clearance at all between the tappet and the lifter. Now here's the thing. This lifter was made for a couple different applications, and the way that you set valve lash on these is actually by grinding off little bits at the top. These never get loose, they always get tightened, because as the seat wears in more and more, your valve's getting closer to the tappet. So what you literally have to do, I mean, I don't know how well you can see, let me bring it in. Hopefully you guys can see there, my valve is not even making contact with the seat, so we're not going to be able to lap it. Oh goodness, there go the part numbers. We're not going to be able to grind it, we're not going to be able to lap it. So the first thing I'm going to do is take it over to the 1x30 sander and start nipping off little bits of that stem there. Now you can use any manner of abrasive material removal that you like. One of these would probably work. One of these is great. If you're going to use a bench grinder, use the side, not the face. That's not going to do anything. Suppose you could use a spinning wheel of death. I'm going to use the 1x30 because I can get a real good flat surface on that. Not suggesting this level of attention to detail is necessary, but it doesn't hurt to calibrate your machines every now and again. Make sure you're still as true as you think you are. Come along now. This would be a good time for a third hand. There we go. Just takes about a minute. Throw a nice flat 2x4 up there, and now we can, nope, that's the wrong piece of wood. Throw a nice 2x2 on there, and now we've got a great way to get a nice flat. And now we can take it over and see how she clearances up. All right, now you want to do this when the piston is at top dead center on the compression stroke. You'll know it's the compression stroke because neither valve is open at all. We're on the compression stroke now, and you go around, and on the exhaust stroke, you see they're both kind of dancing right before and after. So you're better off spinning it around again. And at top dead on the compression stroke right there, no valve is moving at all. It should go without saying that slow but steady wins the race in a thing like this. You don't want to overdo it. I've got a 2/1000 feeler gauge to see when I'm getting close. Spec on this, according to the book I found, is 2 to 8 thou. But I've heard a lot of guys like Toro explains it all, or fixes all. He says 10. So we're going to shoot for about 8. I mean, that's still within spec. So neither side can I even get a 2 in. So I'm going to go ahead back and forth. I mean, you don't need to see me do that. The key is keeping her flat little by little. Once we have the 2 in there, we'll start dialing it in. I can almost get the 2 in there. Bring it back in once I got them. All right, it took about 4 or 5 times, but we finally have good clearance there. Don't worry too much about, well, be careful when we say this. There are a lot of idiots out there. If you over clearance a little bit, don't worry, because we're actually going to take material away from the seat and the valve, and we're going to have to readjust this after we're done lapping. Also goes without saying, make sure you're holding these down, because otherwise they'll dance on you. So, next step, where the poor man's part of this comes in, let's address those valve seats. All right, ask your wife if you can use the safety scissors and cut yourself out a square of your pilfered sandpaper here. Cut her right down the middle, and then cut a little recess in the middle. Recess? I don't know. What we're essentially going to do is put our valve in there like that. See that it's sitting nice and comfy like. And of course, what you're going to want to do is do it upside down the first time so you can illustrate how not to do it. And then we'll do it the right way. Just like that. Slam your valve down in there. And what you have is a little valve resealing tool. Now you don't want to go crazy with this stuff. Just do it ever so lightly. Maybe take your exhaust valve out of the way. Give her a little spritz of the good stuff on there. And we're just taking off any high spots or burrs, any places where there might have been damage. That'll do it. That's all she wrote. Well, now I need another new old stock valve. Amateur. Christmas, I tell you, life is hard and harder if you're stupid. Put that over there. Try not to throw it again. The exhaust valve is where I'm really worried about this, because it had the broken off valve in there when we were trying to chooch on her. What is going on with this WD-40? There it is. It's way too much. That's exactly enough. I'm just going to very lightly get it all the way around. So once all that's done, we're going to clean her up just a little bit. We're on to the lapping, and I actually discovered something unfortunate. The lapping tool that I have at my disposal right now is not going to work for these valves. So we're going super poor man's. Get yourself some compound. This stuff can be had at any auto parts store. Put a little bit on the edges of your valve there. And if you had the lapping tool, at this point it would be attached on there, but this is the only one I've got, and it's too big. I thought I had a smaller one somewhere. I do not. So I'm going to throw her in there like that. That is the wrong side. Amateur hour, I tell you. Oh man, this must be hard to watch. All right, and you're just very lightly gonna work it around. Don't just work it in the same small diameter. So work it some, spin it, work it some, spin it, work it some, spin it. Pick it up and spin it. You want to make sure you're getting that all over. Actually, I might be able to reach it from down here. Now, that's a pipe dream. Much easier with the lapping tool, but we're going super poor man's today. So, light pressure. I mean, obviously you can tell from that sound, valve grinding compound is abrasive. So pull this out, and you're checking for the pattern. You want a nice, worn pattern all the way around your valve. And I hope you can see this. If you clean off the lapping compound, what you're looking for is right here, you want a consistent, even ring all the way around the valve. And what that is it's going to be ideal mating surface to get the best compression. I'm going to let this one go a little bit more because there are a couple spots where it's broken, but for the most part, this is a real good pattern. That's what you're looking for. It's going to be hard to differentiate it from a glare, I assume, but you want to do that on both sides. Keep going until you get a nice, even, wide pattern, and you're pretty much good to go. We'll move on to the next step. All right, so now what you're going to want to do is clean this up, and I mean good. You don't want any of that abrasive stuff stuck in there, so get out the good stuff, give her a good spritzing down, blow the whole thing out with compressed air, whatever you got to do to ensure that none of that nasty stuff is still in there. I'm going to do that real quick, and then we will be back for assembly. Well, buddy Buck, I'll tell you what, we're almost there. After you lap them, you're going to want to recheck them, make sure that the two will go in, but the 8 will not, 8 thou. And if you have to regrind them, make sure you're checking it on top dead center on the compression stroke. And if everything checks out, you're ready for reassembly. Alright friends, I'm not going to beat you over the head with reassembly. I did pick up a full brandy new gasket kit. I think I got that one off Amazon. I don't remember. That might have been Sleaze Bay too. Either way, I'll leave links to whatever I can down below if you're trying to do this. This is an HS4, 4 horsepower Tecumseh flathead. The HS5 is basically the exact same. They even use the same valves. I mean, it's the same process for any Tecumseh motor like this. Let's see, you know what else I bought? I finally invested in one of them fancy Briggs and Stratton valve compressors. I always used to do this. Well, you guys saw in that first video how I got the springs out by just basically wrestling with them. Don't have to do that no more. So you pop these guys in there and tighten that guy down. And you pop this bottom one in here and tighten that guy down. And you put your spring in there and you tighten this guy down. Now he's having a party. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes you'll end up arguing with this thing quite a bit. But, sorry about that. Now you get it up and over the valve there. And pull that guy right out of there. We have a properly seated valve. What goes up and down like it should, and doesn't when it shouldn't. We're gonna do the same thing on the intake side. Intake side's a little harder on these because there's a little bit of casting right there. You just gotta fight with it. No big deal. Well, there it is, friends. There is your poor man's valve job. Just couldn't be happier with that result. We got 2 valves that go up when they should and don't when they shouldn't. What I'm going to do right quick is throw the flapper valve back together. Maybe I'll bring you in for the head gasket, and then we're just going to see if this little puppy will bark for us. And that'll be about it for this video. Alrighty, we've got the breather valve all back together. I'm actually going to reuse this head gasket because these stock ones are really good, and there's really nothing wrong with this one. We'll give it a little cleanup. And I'm going to save the other one for an emergency. Save that new one over there for an emergency. Yeah, this is going to seal up just nice. Let's get our head. Make sure these are good and tight. As the Germans say, good and tight. Alright, a little bit of this down there to start. Throw our spork plug in. Alright, now to get ready for this, we are going to spray a little lubrication on those valve stems. There you go, no big deal. Before I buttoned this up, I sprayed some down there as well. We're going to put some Earl in this thing, since she got none. I'm just going to use what we have lying around, which is some, whatever, do 020, no, I'm not going to put 020 in it. Like I said, high mileage 520, whatever. I'm going to be changing the oil in this quick anyway. This is really just to get her started tonight. There we go. Whatever that gets in there is the right amount. Now that I made a horrid mess all over the workbench, now we'll get outside. We've got our 11/16 chalked up, and we're just going to let her eat. Alright friends, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as our good friend would say. I could hook up the carburetor and everything tonight, but the main point of this video was the poor man's valve job, so I just want to prove to you guys that it worked out alright. I want to take my time doing the carburetor, and I'm still sourcing a muffler. Anyway, we're going to give her a little spritz of the good stuff down the old throat hole. All we're doing here is confirming, does it make enough compression to fire? Does it have enough spark to fire? Or did we totally hoop up those valves? We got the drill that just won't die, our 1980s Black & Decker Professional, a little spritz of the good stuff, and engage. I know that's not much, but that is good enough for me. I'm awfully happy. That's the first time I heard this motor fire. It's been in my garage since before Christmas 2020. So we're going to close this one out here. There will be more videos on this motor. I'm going to do something with it. It may even make it onto a mini bike. I don't know. It is the perfect size for like the little executive producer's first mini bike, isn't it? So, got any questions or comments, please, for me to stop making hack videos on YouTube? You can leave those down there in the squawk boxes. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, man. I'm trying to do something right here. You may know my other channel, my main channel, D&E in the Garage, where I work on Jeeps and other stuff. This is my vacation channel. This is where I indulge my love of really old, well, to me, really old. I'm 32, the motor's 42, so really old American-made Tecumseh engines and snowblowers and gosh knows what else. Well, still not a ton of compression on this thing, though. I think, oh yeah, no, it was just bouncing back. There we go. I was getting nervous for a minute. I think it probably needs rings, being so old, but it's good enough for government work. Oh my god, I just keep dragging it out. What am I gonna do? As always, thanks for watching.